I think baseball is going to die, and I'm going to tell you why I think so. Look, in the NFL and the NBA, they have figured out a way that if you're not a giant town, you can still be competitive because they figure out a way to share the revenue. So I actually asked a friend of mine in Cincinnati to put some numbers together. Of the top 15 teams in payroll, 14 of them had a winning record. Of the bottom 15 teams in payroll, 13 had a losing record. Of the 10 playoff teams, 9 of them came from the top 14 payrolls, and 1 came from the bottom 16. Now, I used to be, still am in a degree, I'm now governor of Ohio, but I was born and raised in Pittsburgh. When I was there, we could root for players over an extended period of time. Down in Cincinnati, when Johnny Cueto comes up, they got to trade him the year before. I don't even know who he's playing for anymore.
San Francisco.
Because you can't afford to pay these players. And I understand that you look at a Theo Epstein or whatever and how smart he is in baseball. He's also has $100 million extra amount in payroll for the Cubs than they have for the Reds. And the Indians are in the same spot. I mean, it takes, these guys can sneak in, but it's really, really hard when everything is stacked against you. And these owners are unwilling to actually cut a fair deal. And what I worry about, Dan, with America's greatest pastime, which may be past its time, is that we're going to see it in the big cities and, across the heartland of the country, in these small towns. It's going to fade away. You don't have anybody to root for anymore, right? And your team is out. Your team is out before the All-Star break. And I don't know why. I've talked to my buddy Bob Castellini, one of the owners of the Reds. I said, you guys ought to get 5 or 6 or 7 of these small market teams, and you ought to hold up the season for a few games and get somebody's attention. Because this is not good for us. Because baseball is great, and I'm afraid it's gonna just dwindle, and we're not going to see it all across this great country.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.